Hi everyone, Javert here for HitFilm. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can give yourself White Walker eyes from the popular TV series Game of Thrones. This effect is possible in both HitFilm Pro and Express, so let's get started. Here we have our source footage in the main comp. Let's begin by creating a new composite shot and making it 1920 by 600. I'll name it Eye Texture with Seam. You'll see why in a bit. Create a new plane and add the Fractal Noise effect. Change the type to Energy, and under the Transform properties, scale it up slightly. Raise the influence to 65% to add more grain. Lower the offset under Appearance to add some contrast. Now I'm going to duplicate this plane. Change the type to Fluid and set the layer's blend mode to Screen. I'll select the Rectangle Mask tool and draw a shape across the top. This whole texture, when it's warped, will become the iris. The bottom part of this canvas will be the center, so I only want this fractal to be on the outside. Repeat this process as many times as you like to get a detailed iris texture. Remember that you don't have to use just fractal noise. There are other effects available like chrominator, caustics, and energy distortion to add variation in the appearance. In order to turn this texture into a circle, I could create a grade and add the polar warp effect. However, as you can see, there is a visible seam where the fractal doesn't line up. To fix this, create another composite shot called Eye Texture. And drag the previous comp into it. In the Transform properties, change the anchor point's X position to 960, or whatever value puts it halfway out of the frame. I'll rename it Left. Duplicate the layer and rename it Right. Flip the anchor point for this texture, so that it's on the other side. What we've done here is offset the entire fractal layer. The seam is now in the middle, instead of on each side, so we can easily cover it up. Since I offset each side by equal amounts, the left and right edge will line up perfectly. To fix the seam, I'll duplicate the Fractal Noise one more time and reset its position. Select the Rectangular Mask tool again and draw a shape in the middle. Feather it in the Controls panel. You can now create a grade and drop the polar warp effect onto it. Notice how the texture has no seam and is completely smooth. I recommend that you proxy these two composite shots, since the Fractal Noise effect can take up a lot of power. The next step is to track the eye movement and prepare a matte to use later. This composite will end up being separate from the main one, so let's create a new comp and drop the video into it. I'll motion track both the iris, which moves around on its own, and my eyelid, which moves with my face, and apply the data to separate points. If you're not sure how to do this, you can check out Axel's previous tutorial on motion tracking in HitFilm. Create a new plane, and drop the opacity so that you can see below it. I'll grab the freehand mask tool and draw my shape. In the Controls panel, you can change the feathering or expansion to get it just right. Parent the layer to the eyelid tracking point. Hide the main video layer, and now for the sake of being able to see it, I'll add a white plane under it. Remember that this is the matte and not the final comp. With mattes, white usually means the part that is showing, and black is hidden. Create a grade and add the invert effect. This isn't exactly necessary since the Set Matte effect has an invert option, but it just saves a little bit of time later on. Copy your tracking points and paste them back into your main comp. Your matte should look attached to your eye footage. Go ahead and hide it from view. Drag in the eye texture composite. Position it over your actor's iris and parent it to the main tracking point. Let's add the set matte effect. Select the matte under source layer and change the source to luminance since it's black and white. I'll integrate this into the shot some more by adding a vignette effect. This will add darkness on the edges, which matches the shadows on my face. I then used the color Vibrance effect, which is available in the colorist pack for $25 for HitFilm Express. You can also use curves to add color. I set this to bright blue, lowered preserve luminance, and increased the exposure. Let's also add a glow effect or two to brighten it up. I set the blend to add. I recommend having both a high and low radius on your glow effects. I'll create a pupil simply by dragging in a plane. Select the ellipse mask tool and draw a shape. Feather it as much as you like. One of the most important things when replacing eyes is the reflections. On the original footage here, notice the specks of light. Keep referring back to your unedited shot and take note of details like this, then try to replicate them. I'll duplicate my footage, place it on top, and rename it Reflections. Drop on the set matte effect, similar to the fractal texture, and constrain it like before. Then, in this case, I'll use a luminance key to isolate the brighter spots. Set the layer's blend to add or screen once you've got that looking good. The pupil dilation was achieved by keyframing a bulge effect on the iris layer, and simultaneously keyframing the scale of the pupil layer. I hid the transition of my normal eye to the White Walker one by overlaying one of Rodipolis's Ink Effects flow videos. You can find more information on this pack in the description. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial. As always, let me know if you have any questions below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.